Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and today we're going to have an unboxing and review of the Hero Quest Frozen Horror Quest Pack for the latest Hero Quest game system. It's made by Avalon Hill and Hasbro. As always, nice art on it, and the box is made really strong and well. It's going to last quite some time with a good old beating, as you draw it out, etc. The rulebook is this usual size rulebook for the expansions, etc., and is laid out extremely well. It's nice and clear and precise to follow, and you shouldn't have too much trouble understanding what they're showing. So each map is shown here. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the actual missions, etc., because that's half of the fun is coming across them as you play them. But yeah, laid out really nice, and you can see the nice art style that they got in here. So that's the rule book. Next we have the advertisement for the companion app, and there we got some of the tiles for the game. Now this is made from the usual cardboard and is quite thick and hard wearing, and I think will last a little while. So we got the throne room on the right, and like some sort of precipice room, the other one is. We got a couple of little ice corridors, ice chute, some holes in the ground, etc. And yeah, they look nice. There's an outdoor tile, which I'm never quite that keen on with Hero Quest, but yeah, and they've got this strange writing on it, which I don't understand why they put it on the tile, but they have, and that's kind of the thing. So we have a bunch of cards as always. So these are the stat cards for the mercenaries that you can hire and come across, etc. I haven't actually played the game, so I'm not 100% sure. This is a Polar Warbear, Yeti, Ice Gremlin, and the Frozen Horror cards, which, yeah, all look pretty good. So we got the female barbarian, which is just a gender swap out for the traditional barbarian, etc. So we've got a bunch of equipment cards and treasure cards, etc. Which, at this point, none of them are really, super duper. None of them make me particularly happy to see. But, they're there, and yeah, yay, etc. So, yeah, we'll chuck all those back in. We got some new dread spells, and, yep, that would finish out a pack of cards. So we got some dice, which are actually missing here, but we get some blue dice, and I do have the other dice that come in the pack somewhere. I put them somewhere. As always, you need extra dice, and I've obviously taken them out at some point. So then some character sheets, and let's have a little look at the miniatures. So there you go, I put the dice back in. They're nice actually dice. They got this sort of frozen, sort of clear plastic casting, which is really nice, and it goes well with the theme for the game, etc. So yep, they go pop back in. As always, hate the way that they store these miniatures, as you can see, as I struggle to try and get them out. I'm never going to remember what they actually call each type of one, but this is like the melee soldier mercenary that you can hire. And you get 3 of each of these sculpts. You get 3 of these crossbowmen, which is okay. Quality is very game board piece. Otherwise, it's quite soft and questionable. You get this halberdier woman, who is a bit nicer. I think the detail on her is soft, but I kind of like that pose a little bit better than the other 2 that I've shown you. And then we have this sword and shield lady who is okay. The sword is a bit and the detail is very soft, but for a game board piece it looks decent enough, and maybe with a bit of paint they will look okay. We will see later on, I suppose. So the female barbarian sculpt, she kind of looks like a barbarian version of She-Ra to me. That's what immediately came to mind when I saw her, so we'll see whether I paint her up that way. So on the second level of the miniatures, you get to see the enemy, I suppose. And we got, first of all, the Yeti. And I really kind of like his sculpt. The monsters actually are better than the heroes, I would say, or better than the humans. Very cartoonish, but I kind of like that look. Then we get the War Polar Bear, which I'm struggling to get out. There you go, the War Polar Bear. And again, I got nothing against that style. It is very cartoonish. Whether you like that or not is another thing, but I kind of like it. And then we've got the Ice Gremlin here with his little frozen icicle blade, etc. We got 2 doors, as per usual with these expansions now. We've got an in and an out door with the icy, snowy theme, which is nice. I like the sculpts of these, and I think they will maybe add to the game, I don't know. And then, of course, we have the big bad, the Frozen Horror. So we're going to get some paint onto these miniatures, and we'll see what they look like all painted up. So, with a bit of paint on them, here is the Sword and Shield lady that I was on about, painted up with the black bases, because that's what I do with my HeroQuest miniatures. And she took paint pretty well. I kind of like her. There's enough detail on that sort of, I don't know, leather skirt, I'm guessing, to actually show off the diamond pattern, etc. And there's enough detail in the shield to know that that is a lion. So yeah, quite nice. This guy, the detail is slightly more muddied, I would say. It's very sort of blunt details, not much sharp to pick out. Yeah, so of this box set, probably my least favourite miniature sculpt, but you know, it's passable for what it is, etc. So then we have that polearm woman that I was saying looked like she was going to be one of the better ones, and yeah, I quite liked her sculpt. She looks like she could be a Pathfinder miniature or one of the cheaper like D&D miniatures that you can buy, etc. So yeah, I think these are okay, actually. They painted up better than I thought maybe they would. I was kind of worried with how soft everything is that you wouldn't be able to get any sharp detail. But you can if you paint them up okay. This guy's okay. His face was a bit meh, and his hair kind of blends into his face a bit much. It's hard to pick out where their hair and the face meet, etc. But it's okay, you know, they're okay. They're a board game, and, you know, you have to kind of think of them that way if you're coming into it from miniatures, you know, sort of hobby background, etc. So on to the next of the mercenaries, and this is the actually barbarian, a female character, and I didn't really paint her up as the She-Ra kind of character, which I was thinking of. I followed pretty much the box art, etc., of what she looked like. You know, give her red hair because, you know, she was a barbarian and she looks kind of Red Sonja, sort of that sort of thing. She took paint okay. The proportions are a bit strange, but then, you know, she is a big barbarian lady, and, you know, it's hard to make a big barbarian woman look womanly if, you know, they're big and barbarian-ish. So this is the first of the Frozen Doors. Really like the Frozen Doors. They're nice sculpts, plenty of detail on them to pick up the snow, etc. And yeah, they fit the theme very well. So this one I went for a bit more of a metallic sort of skull, demon face, whatever that thing is in the middle of the door, using like a contrast paint, etc. But like I said, the snow and all, and the doors, really nicely sculpted, etc. So then we got the Ice Gremlin, and he's quite a cheeky looking chappy, and I quite like the sculpts for these guys. There is enough detail on them that you can actually pick out what each part is without having to try and sort of draw it in, you know, to make up for the fact that it is this softer plastic. Then we have the Yeti, and I really like the Yeti. I would use the Yeti in other games, maybe in your Frostgrave games you could use this guy, but he's got a very Scooby-Doo Yeti look about him, you know. He's quite threatening and quite, you know, menacing looking, but he's also kind of goofy looking, and I kind of like that look. Uh, yeah. So yeah, you could use these in games like Frostgrave, etc., as your Yetis. Then we have the War Polar Bear, and yeah, I went for more of a golden armor on this guy, and he came up really well. As you can see, the dry brushing, etc., on the fur popped really nicely. My only slight criticism is, and that's probably more to do with my paint job than their sculpting, is my one kind of ended up looking more like a war what they call raccoon. It looks more like a war raccoon than a polar bear, but you know, that's probably my painting that more than the actual miniature. So then on to the big dude, the Frozen Horror. And he really took paint really well. It's quite interesting that they used a textured base on this guy and not a plain base, which they've done with everything else. But yeah, he's really nice. Took paint really well. You know, a bit of dry brushing, a bit of speed paint. You know, pick out a few highlights, etc., and you get a really nice looking model. So overall, I think this model is really good. I really enjoyed the baddies, as always. The creatures, I think, pop out really well. Heroes, maybe not so much. But all in all, I think it's a really good expansion. And if you want to get this Frozen Horror expansion, I can't see why you wouldn't, to be honest. So for now, it's going to be goodbye from me, Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.